Alright, welcome everyone to round what should be 11 of the Trackstars Formula 2 Championship, but it's actually round 10. We had some hiccups last week while trying to race at the fantastic Mount Panorama, but unfortunately it didn't go ahead. So we've done some shifting of the calendar and we've now made this round 10 instead of round 11. We are live from the fantastic and beautiful Suzuka this week, and as always, joined with me in the combox is the one and only End Spud. How you going, mate?
Yeah, DJ. Yes, unfortunately we missed you last week, and obviously your lobby connections were a little bit better than probably what was going on last week. But it is what it is. So we have moved round 11 to round 10 here at Suzuka, west of Kyoto and Osaka, down in the south of Japan, near the Ise Bay. In Japan, so it's very nice to come to Suzuka. A great track. It's a driver's circuit. Obviously, everybody loves the circuit. It's not really one for overtaking and racing, but it definitely gives you the thrill of a one lap qualifying. But if we got ourselves underway, we still got 14 drivers this evening joining us. Unfortunately, we couldn't get Ryan back into the lobby. I think he's trying to connect back in. I'm not so sure. But so far, leading the charge is Xylon 96 to 23, Ultipac Mash Buds Racer with Warpath 360 in second and Roses in third. So it's great to be here, DJ, in Suzuka. Obviously, I'm not so sure how much of a fan you are of this track, but I for one, to say I really love this track a lot.
It's not too bad. I obviously have some good and bad parts of the track, but it's usually well known for its drifting through the east course, which is actually the first part of the circuit, which is someone coming through. So we've got Curry coming through, but yeah, it's not too bad. But obviously that's, I guess, every track. Everyone's kind of got really a love-hate relationship with the majority of the tracks in the calendar. But yeah, it's very nice scenery and stuff like that. So it's very flowing, unlike some tracks. So it's not too bad.
Yeah, it's very odd for us to not have any monsoon weather or some tornadoes or cyclones coming through from the bay in the west. So we're very fortunate with that, with the GT physics, with the GT weather. But it's all going to be dry this weekend, DJ, especially for F2 and main series coming up later this evening. So it's great to see some awesome, some contention drivers here that need to challenge Lunacy. DJ, he's obviously got himself a really good margin in his Formula 2 Championship, 224 points over Nightwalker 964. And as we say that, Lunacy has just popped up to the top in pole position and provisional pole with a 1 minute 38.3, which is a very nice lap there for Lunacy, ahead of Silent 96.
Yeah, it's a 38.8, so it's obviously a bit fuzzy there, but yeah, he's done a 38.89, and then Xylon's done a 39 dead, so he's not too far behind him.
There you go. So these guys were battling each other throughout the whole season with Xylon, but unfortunately he missed one round. Missed a couple of rounds actually in Sequoia. Xylon just goes a little bit hairy on the exit of Spoon Curve. So that's one of the key parts of the track, DJ. Obviously, the negotiating Spoon properly and exiting. Trying to stay on the track, because it is very tempting to push the car a little bit to its limit. And then obviously you've got the excess turf on the right, and then you've got the gravel which will make the car spin around 360 into the barrier on the left.
Yeah, it looks like some drivers are kind of struggling to navigate this back section here. So, who's this? Dean DeBean. So he's just got away the and Roses. So,
we have seen crashes here in the real life SF Super Formula Championship around in that corner actually. So we've seen a few spectacular incidents, but luckily for these guys, their cars don't actually get crumbled up like you get in other sim games like iRacing or proper simulator games. But we've got ourselves about a minute to go, DJ, on your end, because we've got a minute in the Group 2 Split 2 rather, where we have Gordok 69 on pole position ahead of his teammate in Tormentor. 1 second clear is Camaro Kid in third, then Gator in fourth, and then Isa Benjo in fifth. So 141.9 for Gordok 69 versus a 138.8 for Lunacy. So there's a huge time difference, but it just shows that Lunacy's got the pace this evening so far.
Yeah, at the moment it's showing that he's got the pace, but yeah, we've just gone under 2 minutes, so we've got a minute 50 remaining. So not too long. These guys will probably get maybe one more lap in. So we'll definitely have to wait and see who crosses the line, gets their other lap in. But yeah, it's all Curry goes quickest there with a 38.2, so that's a very, very, very fast time for the F2 guys. So he's just gapped Lunacy by 0.6, so that'll be definitely interesting on the difference there of the cars. But Lunacy is on a fresh set of tyres, so we'll wait and see how that goes.
One person I'm surprised to seeing not in the top fight is actually the fastest pre-qualifier as Dean DeBean, TTV. He set himself a really good lap time of 1:38.2 in pre-qualifying to be the fastest of the pre-qualifiers, 0.4 or 0.2 rather, ahead of GC12 Curry. But obviously, yeah, you can see that he hasn't even registered a lap time. So whether this is his well, actually, it says above his name it's an outlap, so he's cutting it fine, DJ. So I don't know. I mean, he showed the pace in pre-qualifying, but can he show his pace amongst the top 14 this evening to actually get himself back into the 38s?
Obviously it'll be a bit harsh, be a bit hard for him there. Obviously he's going to have one shot and one shot only with 30 seconds to go. So it'll definitely be one to watch and keep an eye on with him and those NASCAR style numbers. But
I love it. I still love the NASCAR vibes on it. It is great. But Dean DeBean's going to come across the line to only set his one flying lap here. So we try to see if we can get an onboard coming through the snake section here of a circuit of Suzuka International Racing Course. 3.8 kilometers coming into turn one, negotiating the first corner. It's a really fast sweeping corner. Try not to run too wide on the left-hand side, otherwise that the tarmac on the left is going to spin you out. But coming through this snake section here, just lots of lefts and rights, and it's just waiting to get on the throttle and just trying to. Oh, he's pushed the car a little bit too wide. His first sector is a 28.5, so it's probably not the best time he's set, but he's going to come through into Degner 1, a fast section, a fast right-hander, then a second right-hander following that under the bridge, the crossover between the top and the bottom of the track. And the hairpin is a very crucial part. DJ, obviously, we've joked about your fellow It's Racing driver struggling around that corner, so we've come around. It looks like Dean DeBean can do it, so why can't he?
Yeah, he's Mr. Venti SS Gaming is having a bit of a struggle there ever since GT7 got released. Oh, he runs really, really wide there, really stretching those limits of that SF, going around those corners.
I think he knows that it is his last lap, and he's trying to push the car through as he's coming down through the legendary 130R, flat in these cars, I guess especially flat in our Group 2 cars, which we'll see later on in the Touring Car Championship. But then coming through to the Casio Triangle for the last time for his final lap. Can he get himself up into the top 5 or top 8 as we wait for his time to progress, come in and record? His lap time is going to be 1 minute 39.5, is that right?
138.9, so he's actually jumped up into P3. So yeah, there's a 38.9. So that's a pretty decent lap there by him.
Very good lap on his sole lap there. That was a really good time there. Obviously, he did it on his first lap, but throughout pre-qualifying, which is over an hour's time, he got himself into a 38.2. So only losing about 0.7 on his time, but hey, it's still a really decent effort. As we see, Lunacy still hanging on in seconds. Then we have Xylon in 4th. Roses came also through pre-qualifying in 5th. Warpath 360. A great showing by Warpath. That's probably going to be his highest grid position this evening, up into 6th place with Slappers and Soul Reaper in the top 8.
Yeah, not too bad there from Warpath. Obviously, he's very underrated as a driver, because he does have a lot of potential, but just unfortunately gets kind of stuck into some unlucky incidents. So he's a bit unfortunate, but that's racing, I guess. But one person we've got down here is little old Nightwalker. So he's just obviously chucked some different tyres on for the race start. So he's 1.9 off the pace. So that'll put him roughly 9th or 10th. So we'll just wait and see when he comes through sector 1 here. He puts him in 10th place. So that's yeah.
And he's second in the championship, DJ. So that's he's 200. So he's the one that's behind Lunacy. That's any chance of trying to topple off Lunacy. But with Lunacy in second place, and with Nightwalker in 10th, that's a bit of an ask for Nightwalker to try and come through the pack.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one, but looking at the standings, it's very close between third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So we've got Slappers in third on 1946, Soul Reaper on 1934, Rugworth on 1914, and Xylon on 1912. So they're all separated by about 20 points, 40 points, sorry.
Oh
So
wow.
if Xylon can get a good showing here, he might be able to jump all the way from 6th to 3rd. So anything is possible, don't count it out. But also, it also brings into effect if Lunacy just so happens to maybe have, say, a disconnect or a DNF or something like that. So he's not out of the woods yet for Mr. Lunacy. So I'd definitely be worried and keeping him on his toes and see if Nightwalker can come through the field come lap 17. So definitely be one to wait and see.
And you also got to consider the fact as well that we actually haven't added drop rounds to this. So the standings that we're seeing at the moment is pre-drop rounds. So this will be crucial. So whoever, for a guy like Xylon 96 who missed a race last time out in St. Croix, it could definitely propel him back into the top 3 or even back into second place. But this will be it'll be a key moment for drivers to try and get a good showing as much as possible. And try and see how high up they can get up the grid as we get ourselves underway in both Split 1 and Split 2 for the Japanese Grand Prix coming up very shortly.
We'll welcome Shadow GT in the YouTube chat there, but it's good that they also fixed the spectator cam here. But we're about to go green here.
So GC12 Curry on pole position with Lunacy in second, with Dean DeBean, a great showing for Dean in third. Cylon has rival in second place with Roses, and Warpath in 5th and 6th. As we get our lights going, it is lights out, green flag racing. GC12 Curry's got himself a really good start ahead of Lunacy. He's trying to use that overtake to try and get the first corner in. Cylon's moved himself up into third place side by side with Dean DeBean, but as we go through into turn 1, we see Roses actually come through, and we see a driver coming down the field there. I wonder if that was Dean DeBean. He actually ran a little bit too wide there. Yes, it was. So Dean DeBean from third place all the way down into 13th, so very unlucky for Dean DeBean. Obviously may have been pushed a little bit wide there, we're not so sure, but we'll have to see that on the replay later on. Rugworth has moved himself up into second place, being high up, being low in the outside the top 10, so great showing from Rugworth to be up there, but still leading the way is Curry with Lunacy and Xylon in the top 3 for our first lap here, passing the Deckner curves under the crossover points into the hairpin, with Curry first, Lunacy second, Roses in third, Xylon in third, apologies, Roses in 4th, Slappers in 5th, Griffo in 6th, Rugworth and Nightwalker moving up the grid in 8th place.
Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate there because it looks like a couple of the drivers ended up getting a bit of damage there. So Dean got rear. I think it was Aussie or Soul Reaper got front and back, so a bit unfortunate. Oh, Nightwalker runs really wide there. A bit wide.
And he's got a whole gaggle of his WRT cars right behind him, with Warpath right behind, and Soul Reaper behind him as well. So I'm surprised of how Warpath ended up so far back down the field. He was up into 6th place. So obviously that first corner, DJ, around Suzuka is obviously notorious for, being a fast corner into turn 1 and then into turn 2. But yeah, it can definitely catch you out on lap 1.
I think it can kind of really catch you out on any lap. If you get too hot into there, you get one up on that green stuff and you can kiss your race goodbye. So anything is possible, but he was probably caught up in that bit of kerfuffle there. As I say that, fly balding does exactly that and does a spin.
Oh, it's a full 360. So that's what happens in turn 1. So exactly what you said, it can happen on any lap, whether it's the first lap or even on the 17th lap, DJ. Anything can happen. But yeah, unfortunately for flyboarding going 360, but looking up through the rest of the grid, still Curry leads the way ahead of Lunacy and Cylon 96. It'll be interesting to see what tyres Curry is on compared to Lunacy, if he's pulling away by fine margins.
Curry is currently on softs, Lunacy's medium, Xylon soft, Slappers soft, Griffo's soft, Rugworth soft, Rose's soft, Aussie soft, Nightwalker medium, Dean soft, Soul Reaper soft, Warpath soft, Flyboarding medium, and Rusty medium. So Definitely keep an eye on, see if Labalding and Rusty Nuts can make that gap through there. But one person you'll definitely want to watch out for here coming through the back end of the field is Nightwalker. So that'll be one to wait and see. But this battle here, it's not only a battle for position, but it's also a battle of the tyres too. So how long will those softs last? That is the question. And when will they pit?
Absolutely, with a first time out winner for GC12 Curry in the RoboSport Racing Dallara SF19. Obviously racing in the Honda with the Honda engine, or with the Honda backing. So this track is basically the home of the Honda engines, and so we'll be seeing a lot of spectators with their very funny designing with their hats. They're obviously watching the old Suzuka Grand Prix, whether it's Formula One or whether it was Super Formula or any kind of touring car racing. The Japanese crowd always puts on a show when it comes to designing and when it comes to being a bit silly and having a bit of fun, especially with their hats where they make mock-up Formula One cars, like cardboard Formula One cars, on their heads. So it's great to see. But it is a home track for the Honda powered Dallara SF19. So with GC12 Curry leading the way in his Honda, he's doing a great job with Lunacy in second, Cylon in third, Slappers in fourth, Griffo in the top five. Rugworth surprisingly having a really good showing. Obviously, we've seen him struggle a little bit at the back end of the grid there, but I wonder if he's actually maybe found a little bit of time during the week to actually get some laps in, because if he can hold on, obviously you don't want to put on the commentator's curse on my fellow Mash Buds driver. If he can keep that position, that'll probably be his best finish in this season, actually, this whole season in 2022. But
Yeah.
as I look ahead, sorry, I apologise there. Looking ahead in split 2, we've got Latergator leading the way by a full on 17 seconds ahead of Camaro Kid in second, Tormentor, Benjo third and fourth, and then Gordok 69. So I wonder if something happened at the start, because Gordok did have pole position, so I wonder if it was another turn 1 shenanigans in split 2. But yeah, going on the back of main split here that we show broadcasting to you, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, with Rugworth coming through, a nice performance for him. So fingers crossed he can keep that on his agenda to keep in 6th place.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be his best showing so far, because obviously I think he has been unfortunate in a lot of occasions with some incidents and stuff like that, of being the the one that cops the bad shunt of it all. So it's a bit unfortunate to see Rugworth that far down, but don't count him out, because as I said, he is in that battle for 3rd place in the standings. So he's currently sitting position 5. So anything is possible with 2 rounds to go. So it's going to be interesting.
He always flies under the radar when it comes to the championship. No matter where he finishes and no matter where he ends, he always finds a way to be in that top 5 or top 3. Like you could see last year as well. He just managed to get himself up 2nd in the standings last year. So, but I was a little bit fortunate with Xylon obviously not being able to race. As we see Roses go a little bit wide there, and Spoon, he goes full through 67.20. How many is that? 4 spins. I can't do the maths in my head, on the top of my head. How many spins was that? But bloody hell, that was very unlucky there for Roses. My goodness. But that's what can happen, DJ, around Spoon. You run a bit too wide, and it can happen to anybody, and it's obviously happened to Roses.
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate there, but I'm pretty sure a 4 spins is 10.20. But that will be one for the mathematicians out there, because I'm not a mathematician myself and I don't do math for that specific reason. But I'm very curious here as to where Dean picked up this 3-second penalty, because he hasn't pitted yet.
Do you think he may have, because maybe he passed under this yellow flag? Oh, as Dean DeBean tries to go for an inside move on Nightwalker, almost made it, but obviously a little bit caught his right-hand side onto the grass there, clipped the grass on the inside of turn 1 and 2. But yeah, I'm very surprised. I wonder if that, maybe it's a glitch with the yellow flags, and maybe he passed on the yellow flags or tried to make an overtake on either Aussie or Nightwalker to get a 3-second. But yeah, that if that's over his head, he'll be so unlucky and he'll be ruined that. Obviously, that mistake, whether he made it himself or whether the game just bugged him out.
Oh no!
Oh, he just got tapped there on the arse there. Unfortunate for Dean Devine on his rear diffuser. But as we see another yellow flag, and who's that up ahead? Someone's gone full 360. That's Griffo. So Griffo was holding up into 5th place as well, and he did himself a great job, but now he's dropped down to 7th. So he's in the battle pack between himself and Aussie Hypnotic and Warpath 360, with Nightwalker actually making good progression up into 6th place, DJ. So this will help closing him up, trying to get himself close to Lunacy and Cylon for the championship. But with Nightwalker in 6th and Lunacy in 2nd, I think the gap between those guys, yeah, it's extending out. So you can see Lunacy is losing a little bit of time to Curry, but because they are two different tyre compounds between Curry and Lunacy, I can't wait to see what happens in the second half.
Yeah, well, being Lunacy, obviously he doesn't really have to worry much about Curry there, because he obviously is joined very late and he doesn't really have much potential of the championship. But I guess it'd just be kind of bragging rights on his end. But Lunacy's kind of really only worry at the moment is Nightwalker. But this is the funny thing, they're both on medium, so how will that'll be definitely one to see how it plays out. But he's got about a 15-second gap back to Nightwalker, so it's going to be very interesting. It's too much for my my brain to comprehend. But someone ran a little bit wide there, which is Warpath. So this is purely an example of you make one simple mistake and you can drop all the way from, say, 3rd or 4th all the way down to 9th or 10th, as what's happened here from Roses. So you drop down to 10th from having that spin before the back straight. So
as I did mention, it is a driver circuit, Suzuka, so basically all full concentration has to be around this track, trying to make sure you hit your apexes, try not to run the car too wide, because as we've seen from Roses, Warpath, Dean Devine and a few others, they're all making mistakes, even Griffo as well in the exit of the hairpin. So everyone's making mistakes here, but the one driver not making a mistake so far is GC12 Curry in 1st place, as we're about to cross lap 7 of 17. So the pit window is now open for the soft runner drivers here this evening, with Curry the first of the soft tyre users. I think Cylon, as you said, is the second in behind, and I wonder if they'll start thinking about a pit stop, because it will get a little bit sketchy, especially on the rears. As we know, with the GT7 physics, with the SF19s, the rears definitely wear out a lot faster than the fronts. So, and you're going to need the rears to get around the sweeping corners like turn 1, and then especially through 130R, and even through the Degner curves. You need to have the rear tires, fresh, not obviously worn out. So I wonder if they'll start to think about making a pit stop at the end of this lap and maybe go 10 laps on the mediums, but that'll give a good indication for the drivers on the mediums to see how far they can go on the mediums before they throw on softs.
Yeah, at the moment the wear isn't looking too bad on the mediums, but those softs, I think you're going to have some drivers start to nearly ruin their day. So it's going to be very interesting.
Sorry, we saw Lunacy go PB on his lap there. So I wonder what his last lap time compared to Curry was between those two drivers.
Lunacy did a 39.6 and Curry did a 39.2, so 4 tenths off the pace.
So Curry's still a little bit quicker than Lunacy on worn soft tyres. So this will be a good indication to see where he will stack up when he comes into the pit lane, which could be at the end of this lap. Yeah, as I said, so lap 7 of 17 is the cutoff point for, or the cutoff point for how long softs can last for. Silo 96 also comes in on soft tyres, so those boys will be going in really hard just to try and make sure they can make the medium tyres work in the opening phases, because Lunacy could come out with you could say a bit of an overcut, because obviously on worn medium tyres, if he actually decides to stay out for a few laps and then maybe throw on softs for the last 6, as the minimum tyre states, for 6 laps per compound, I wonder if he might actually think about coming in earlier if he wants to try and get himself ahead of Curry.
Yeah, there's obviously the potential there, but I think if I was Lunacy, I'd want to run kind of his minimum laps and make as much time up. But you've also got to look at the wear on the mediums there. So the gap currently is 11.1 from Curry to Lunacy, but being they're on the same compound, I doubt that those softs are going to last 10, so I think Lunacy will probably want to stay out for another, say, 1 or 2 more laps as he's coming down. the second last back straight, so he's using a bit of overtake there, trying to get a bit of gap there, but Curry's just bringing that gap back, so he's definitely got that car tuned in.
Yeah, he's very, very nicely tuned in, dialed in for this track, and obviously it's good to see. It's interesting to see with the pit lane. Obviously, I didn't really see what the gap was between Lunacy and Curry, but he's actually popped out into third place there, so he's obviously got no challenges. He's got clean air ahead of him. Same with Silent 96, he's got clean air in front of him as well. So, he's trying to get some heat onto his tyres to try and find some grip. But with Curry and Xylon in free air, this will give a good indication for Lunacy of where he may pop out as well if Xylon can stick with Curry. But Slappers is into the pit lane now off his soft tyres going onto medium, so I wonder if an extra lap on the soft tyres may have benefited him and maybe brought the gap closer between him and Xylon.
We'll wait and see. From what I can predict, it's looking about 10 to 11 seconds pit transit from obviously doing a stop here.
It's the key moment. Yes, Slappers is just ahead of Nightwalker 96. Give credit to where all credit's due. Slappers mate 117. He's taken a victory at the Nürburgring, a very damp Nürburgring. He's sitting third in the championship, so he's done himself really good wonders for the leader of, or one of the head leaders of WTCC, and he's putting on a great performance this evening. So I definitely wouldn't count him out at the end of the drop rounds sequence, that he might be in contention to either take second or third place, or maybe even take it to Lunacy at the end of the series. But we'll have to wait and see as round 10 concludes.
Yeah, it's definitely going to bring a cliffhanger into the last round at Bathurst. So I wonder if they're possibly doing some more testing before this, after this, or what the go is. But I know that obviously, being everyone from Australia, it is everyone's home track, except the ruggers up here from across the ditch in New Zealand. So unfortunately, we don't have any New Zealand tracks, and we do have Roses here. So it'll be wonder if they are going to have a home track advantage there, but we'll obviously wait and see how that pans out. But flyboarding here, he's chucked on a set of softs, so he's about to be on the back.
He's going to go for and he's going to be there for the long haul, so he's going out for a very long time. Lap 9 and 17. Oh, there's contact between Balding and Aussie Hypnotic. I wonder if Balding's going to redress that. I wonder if he's going to redress that on the end of this straight here, but my goodness, almost contact, almost went 360 for Aussie Hypnotic and Flyboarding, but maybe Aussie might be able to get him on the back of this straight here. I wonder if Balding decides to give this one up. Wait and see. No, he doesn't, so he'll actually take the position ahead of Aussie. So that'll be an interesting one to see back if there's some stewards inquiry between those two. But looks like, obviously I can't make any judgments at all, but it looked like Flyboarding was maybe the factor in what was a spinning Aussie Hypnotic on the curbing.
Yeah, it looks like he did get a bit clashed with Roses there, so maybe that had something to do with it. But luckily for Aussie, Flyboarding did give him another little tap there, so he did stay on the circuit. But if I was him, I would have redressed that, and it would have been all well played. So
just in case.
Yeah, exactly. But Dean has actually been lapped, so that's unfortunate.
No. And this is so unlucky for Dean Devine, as we see Lunacy coming to the pit now. So now at the end of lap 10 onto lap 11, he's going to have about 7 laps to go with soft tyres. So this will be an interesting one to see. Obviously, Curry's going to come out ahead of him. What about Xylon 96? Will he actually be able to come out ahead of Lunacy, as we see Lunacy entering the pit lane, changing his tyres right now? He can actually using the overtake, trying to get up close, and as Lunacy exits the pit lane, it's going to be close coming into turn 1. Will he get second place? He does. So around the outside, a sweeping move into turn 1. Lovely move there by Cylon 96. He judged that to perfection, but Lunacy on the fresh soft tyres, he'll be making mincemeat out of Cylon. So Lunacy doesn't have to go too adventurous in these sequence of corners. He might just have to pull back and wait until they're straight, unless he can make an effective move down to the hairpin.
Yeah, obviously we're going to have to wait for Lunacy's tyres to warm up a bit, because obviously that is a factor at the moment in GT7. But Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting as there's a 7-second gap there too. But going into the pits, Curry only had a 5.4 to Lunacy, so he's actually made some time back in the pit stop sequence. So I guess
so that undercut has definitely worked out for Curry on the fresh medium tyres. But here we go, Lunacy is trying to make a move. Will he go around the outside to spoon curve? This is quite risky if you make an outside move. Xylon's not going to let him have it, but Lunacy runs a bit wide. He goes onto the AstroTurf. No fault of Xylon's, and goes almost 360. Good slide, good power drift into spoon curve. But my goodness, that was a hard mouth moment for Lunacy.
yeah, I think if that was me, I would have definitely pulled back in behind and made a move down on the straight. But we've seen Lunacy be very ambitious lately in the Formula 2 as well as the main series. So it'll definitely maybe be one for him to kind of be like, okay, well, am I going to do that again? Probably not, because he ended up on the green stuff and he nearly went around. He was lucky to catch it. And being on a controller, I know how hard it is to try and catch a spin. Obviously, you'll know from yourself being on a controller as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we only recently found out that Lunacy is on a controller as well. So yeah, obviously that is a bit of that was a really good save there by Lunacy. Obviously saved it from going around 360, but obviously leaving marks on your tyres will have a bit of an impact later on in the lap, just as the tyre wear comes in, and that bit of that half spin would have definitely put a bit of flat spot on all 4 of his tyres, so he'll need to make sure he gets that back up to temperature. But you can see straight away, it's just even after that spin, you can see he's right up on the back of Xylon 0.6 behind Xylon 96, and he's catching him. So Xylon's mediums are not really warming up, or they're not really showing the performance compared to Lunacy's, obviously being a step higher compared to the soft tyres. But you could say in a way it's a bit of a weird one, DJ, especially with GT7, like the soft and the medium tyres. There's a little bit of a hard. We see yellow flags here. Who's that? That is indeed the bean. So I thought that was Curry for a second. No, I was going to say, with the difference between the soft and the mediums is not really much when it comes to the delta times. There is obviously an advantage for soft tyres, but medium tyres can kind of act like a soft tyre in some sort of way.
Yeah, I think with the new tyre model on GT7, they've made the medium a softer compound and the hard a harder compound. Like, you can run a very long distance on a hard tyre, but the medium not so much.
Is Lunacy going to go for a move into turn 1? Will he make that stick? Bit of light rubbing contact there. Lunacy takes the lead, takes second place ahead of Xylon 96, but that's a lovely move there by Lunacy. God, I'm getting those two names quite confused. Lunacy takes second place ahead of Xylon 96 into turn 1. So beautiful racing, great move, and he also set the fastest lap on the previous lap, so a little bit of help with the overtake and slipstream. But Lunacy takes back second place with Xylon in third, Slappers in fourth, Rugworth, a great showing by Rugworth in fifth place, with Nightwalker in sixth. Want to see what the gap is between him and Nightwalker, so about 7 seconds there. So Rugworth's putting in an exceptional performance. Nightwalker in sixth after starting 10th, Soul Reaper in 7th place, and Warpath 360 in 8th. So 6, 7, 8 for the WRT boys, and Aussie Hypnotic and Flyboarding in 9th and 10th. So obviously Aussie got ahead of Flyboarding, so whether there was a later redress or something, I'm not so sure about. And then we have Griffo in 11th, Roses in 12th, Rusty Nuts. A bit of a quiet one for Rusty this evening, DJ. I don't know. He hasn't, not the Rusty Nuts. Obviously, it's a bit funny to say he's gamer tag, but a bit hard for Rusty Nuts to come away from this round thinking that was a great performance, because 13th place, that's not where we normally see Rusty.
Yeah, I mean, that's very unfortunate there.
Roses days just goes from bad to worse, unfortunately. So that's probably going to be the end of his race, finishing down in 13th place. But yeah, Rusty, that's not where we usually see him, DJ. We've seen him in the pointy end, and he's actually sitting 8th in the championship as well.
Yeah, and he has had a top 5. I think he had a top 4. He's getting a real biffo here with Griffo. So I think he just needs to settle down a bit. And I believe if being me, it would be Rusty Nuts because it's a Z. But yeah, it's a very interesting one to say, but we do have Mr. Diswood, who's actually leading the Formula Trackstars Championship in chat too. So he's given you a bit of a bit of a spin, saying can run along on a soft tyre. Hey Spud. So I think that he's having a bit of fun there with you, but yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, obviously we'll wait and see come the main race, Woodsy. So we'll do the talking on the track there. But with about 4 laps to go, we still got Curry ahead. So the gap between, as we see Rose is coming to the pit lane, so maybe this is a late pit stop for him to just throw on some soft tyres to finish. But what is the gap between him and Lunacy now? Between Curry and Lunacy?
It's currently 5.6, but also 4.8 to Xylon. So Lunacy actually set the fastest lap that last lap too, so he's done a 38.1, but he's definitely putting in some hard laps, but putting in some hard laps is putting in some wear on the tyres, so he's gone faster again with a 38 dead, so
he's 3 laps in a row that he's gone purple, so he's really closing the gap to Curry. Obviously Curry may be thinking about his strategy, or going the alternate strategy, soft to mediums, but Lunacy has gone for the preservative one for mediums to just run a little bit longer and then a fast finish. But will we see a Lunacy close up to Curry in 3 laps time? We'll find out. But with Curry leading the way, Lunacy in second, Cylon in third, Slappers in fourth, Brugworth in fifth. But all eyes will be on the battle up the front as we look down towards the grid. We see Nightwalker, we see Soul Reaper in 7th place. So you can say some of the WRT boys, good performances by them, but obviously we saw Nightwalker have a few good runs on podiums. Actually, it was about 3 races or 4 races in a row that he actually had a podium, or being on the podium positioning. So that was good for Nightwalker. But maybe this race hasn't been able to find time or find pace at all. But Rusty in 11th, Griffo 12th, Roses unfortunately, and a bit of a sad, unlucky race for Dean Devine there. He put it in 3rd in qualifying, and it was the fastest pre-qualifier, but maybe just couldn't find a race car that actually managed to go around for 17 laps rather than just a one-lap shot qualifying car.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting to see, but as well as the pace from the front guys to the back guys. So you've got Roses, who's actually just chucked on his fresh set of softs, so he's done his minimum requirement on both tyres, so all well and good there, but I think he's just chucking them on, seeing if he can get a personal best in. So we'll wait and see what lap time he does there. But yeah, seems a couple of seconds off the pace, but Rusty actually passed Griffo either last lap or the lap before, so he's jumped up into 11th. So you've got 2 of the RSR guys in 10th and 11th, and then obviously Curry up here at the front. So Lunacy's closed that gap down to 4.3, but he's done a 38.8, so he might have either made a mistake or those softs are really starting to wear on him now.
Yeah,
but
I think he may have used the best of his soft tyres there, but obviously it's not far to go till the end of this Grand Prix. So for some drivers, this will be their last Grand Prix. As we said at the beginning of the coverage, this was meant to be round 11 of the Trackstars Formula 2 Championship, but unfortunately with some lobby issues and some connection issues, we had to postpone that to next week. So some drivers will be able to race next weekend, which is the top 15 that did their pre-qualifying and were in the top 8 of the championship. So those guys will be able to get their race in for the final time. But for some drivers as well, this will be their last race as well. So with Warpath 360 as well, so he came through split 2 last time out in Bathurst, so this will be his last race, putting on a solid performance in 8th place there. So some drivers, like I said, will be going away, getting themselves prepped up for the Touring Car Championship, DJ, in a couple of weeks' time. So that'll be an exciting prospect to see who can come out as TS2 champion. Unfortunately, with obviously Little Blacko being the champion of last year, it's not even actually racing in main series as well. So obviously we might have a few new contenders for the TS2 title, so we'll have to wait and see how that occurs out in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, from what I remember, what was the yellow flag up here?
Could be Dean. Yeah, it's just days goes from bad to worse. He might need to call his engine. It's just like, can I just retire this car, please?
But yeah, so from what I remember, his pedals or wheel or something happened with his pedals and wheel, and nothing's cooperating with him. So he just decided to pull out for the rest of the season. But yeah, it's unfortunate there because we did Also, we are missing him currently on the iRacing group because we do have some iRacing happening. But yeah, it's a bit unfortunate to see Blacko just kind of disappear for Robo Sport. But sorry, SDRT. My apologies. But yeah, as Mr. Woodsy said in chat, Curry has done a fantastic job. Too hot for Lunacy to handle, which is definite. But this win here, as well as the win at St. Croix, puts him eligible to race in main series. So that's definitely a step up for Robbo there to have Curry in his back pocket to use. So definitely a good showing there. But yeah, he's pretty much unstoppable here as Lunacy's used the most of those softs there. As Curry comes through the final lot of curves to take that checkered flag.
And he'll take the checkered flag for round 10 of the Trackstars Formula 2 GC12 Curry for Robo Sport Racing takes the victory this evening with Lunacy in second place. Silo 96, a nice performance by him in third place, trying to have some sort of chance to battle out Lunacy for the championship. Slappers mate 117 in fourth place, coming around the Casio Triangle for the final time. Rugworth down to fifth place. He keeps that fifth place. That'll be his best result this season, DJ. So very good result there by Rugworth in fifth, with Nightwalker in sixth, Soul Reaper seventh, and then Warpath in eighth. But we'll wait for those boys to cross the line. But obviously a nice result for Rugworth to be up in fifth, but that's back-to-back victories for Curry, DJ. That's how do you stop this man? Had he been here at the start of the season, what could it be with this championship?
Yeah, if he did sign up at the start of the championship, I would have been very interested to see on how he'd be playing out with Lunacy, because Lunacy's been basically unstoppable from the start of the season, but going into St. Croix and now going into Suzuka, he's currently been torn down by Curry, so that would have been definitely interesting. But yeah, jumping to the back here, Rugworth did cross the line in fifth, so that's the top five for Ruggers there. It's his best performance of the season, so
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then Nightwalker at sixth, Soul Reaper in seventh, Warpath in eighth. So the WRT boys occupy in sixth through to eighth, Aussie in ninth, Flyboarding in 10th, and Rusty in 11th, Griffo 12th, 13th is Roses, and then down the back will be Dean DeBean. Unfortunate for him, starting third and then not having the race that he wanted this evening, finishing in 14th place. Not the plan that he had, not the L plan that he had with his strategists. Obviously, he must have Ferrari strategists in his garage. So sorry, I had to get that in there. So. But unfortunate for Dean DeBean, but what is fortunate is Curry takes back-to-back victories here at Trackstars Formula 2, here at Suzuka International Racing Course. That is another victory for Curry and for the Robo Sport Racing Camp. So a great victory here, and we will see him back for the final round at Mount Panorama Bathurst in a week's time. So congratulations to our podium runners in Curry, Lunacy, and Xylon 96.
Yeah, it's a very good showing there from all the drivers there, and they kept it reasonably clean too. So hopefully they make our job easy and your job easy to get the reports out and stuff like that. So
and as I go through to the split 2, we've just crossed the line right now. We actually have Later Gator taking the victory from split 2, so that's another victory that Gator's put through for your boys in the It's Racing colours. So great showing by Gator, with Tormentor in second, taking one up on Gordok 69 in third place. And our DNFs were C. Craig, Kamara Kid, and Benjo from the Ice R Racing Group.
Yeah, that's a good showing there from Later Gator, because he did obviously take the win. I think it was at St. Croix as well. So
yeah,
he'll be in the top split for next week at Bathurst. So that's a very good showing there.
Absolutely, it's good to have like your guys, at least one of your cars in for the main show coming in for next week. So that'll be exciting. So we set ourselves a really good finale here. Obviously, as we did say, we did try to make this one the last round, but obviously through polyphony and GT7 issues, we've actually had to bring Bathurst forward to round 11. So I mean, I'm not complaining about a Bathurst finale, are you? It's great to have a Bathurst finale.
Yeah, I guess any time that we get to run at Bathurst, it's a good time. So, anyone who's Australian and realistically around the world, because we've seen in the endurance championship and stuff like that, the drivers from say France or like Belgium and England and stuff like that, they say Bathurst is probably one of the top, probably one of the best tracks in the world. So it's good to have that little track in Sydney, which is about 2.5 hours west of Sydney. So you just jump on the freeway, which is called the M4, follow that basically straight, and you'll pretty much end up in Bathurst. So it's definitely a very interesting circuit that I know 90, I'd say probably 98% of the Australian population would love to run around that track.
Yeah, exactly. You know that track from the back of your hand, DJ. So it's obviously a track that you go to a lot with supercars and follow them around, or any special event that they do there. So obviously you know that track very well. You've walked it yourself. You've driven around it yourself. So yeah, it is a good challenge, and it'll be a great challenge for our top 15 drivers that have qualified for the Bathurst round. So stay tuned to see that. But for some of the other drivers, that this will be their last round for Trackstars Formula 2. So thank you so much to all of our drivers in Formula 2 for participating and being patient with us as we tried to get this season underway. With so many delays since GT7 came out, after lobby issues, handling issues, and or you name it, everything happened through Polyphony and GT7. So unfortunately, we couldn't get the season underway as early as we wanted it, but we made it in the end. We got our Formula 2 season sorted out and underway, and what a great showing that we've had from our drivers. So we can't thank them enough. So we'd like to thank our Formula 2 drivers for sticking it out and being there for Trackstars Racing Series. But on behalf of myself and DJ, we will see you guys